Los Angeles is facing a crisis of unprecedented proportions. First came the wildfires, reducing entire communities to ash. Then, Southern California endured its strongest storm of the season, with over 9 inches of rainfall in some areas. The resulting mudslides and debris flows ripped through neighborhoods, displacing thousands. For many, the nightmare didn't end with the storm. Rather, it marked the beginning of an even greater struggle: the fight for stable housing. The sheer force of the recent atmospheric river overwhelmed an already fragile city. The storm, drenching burn zones and triggering flash floods, did more than just damage infrastructure. It uprooted lives. Entire communities were left in chaos. Homes were destroyed and thousands were forced to flee. In Oxnard, residents witnessed a rare tornado, a violent reminder of nature's growing unpredictability. The house shook, the noise got louder and louder, and it sounded like something hit the top of the house, one resident recalled. The psychological toll is immeasurable, but the material consequences are even more dire. This devastation is exacerbating an already dire housing crisis in Los Angeles. The city is home to one of the largest homeless populations in the nation, with 169,141 individuals experiencing homelessness. That number is poised to skyrocket. At least 10,000 displaced residents now find themselves on the brink, facing the grim reality that they may soon have nowhere to go. Middle-class and low-income families, lacking the financial resources to rebuild, are pushed into homelessness at an alarming rate. Those already struggling to pay rent are left with impossible choices: rebuild or relocate, neither of which are viable options for many. The chain reaction of disasters, from fire to flood to housing collapse, exposes the deep vulnerabilities within Los Angeles' infrastructure and social safety nets. Rent prices, already among the highest in the country, are likely to surge even further as demand for limited housing grows. Shelters are at capacity, affordable housing projects lag behind need, and emergency assistance programs are overwhelmed. Without urgent intervention, LA is poised for a humanitarian disaster unlike anything the city has seen before. Another housing crisis is coming. How flooding in LA will drive up rent again. Los Angeles is once again on the brink of a housing disaster, this time driven by an unprecedented flooding crisis. As the city grapples with extreme weather events, the rental market is poised to mirror the catastrophic trends seen during the recent wildfire crises, where landlords ruthlessly exploited the housing shortage, forcing residents into financial despair. If history is any indication, the upcoming floods will not only displace thousands, but will also serve as an excuse for property owners to hike rents to unbearable levels, worsening an already dire affordability crisis. The numbers speak for themselves. In the wake of the wildfires, landlords took advantage of the sudden influx of displaced renters by dramatically inflating prices. A property listed at $5,900 per month in September skyrocketed to $29,500, a shocking example of unchecked greed in a city struggling with homelessness and affordability issues. Rent increases of 124% were not uncommon, with desirable neighborhoods like Santa Monica and West Hollywood seeing one-bedroom apartments priced at an average of $2,400, far beyond the reach of many residents. Now, with the looming threat of mass displacement due to flooding, landlords have a fresh opportunity to exploit those in crisis once again. Despite California's legal cap on rent increases at 10%, landlords have continuously disregarded these limits, banking on desperate renters willing to pay any price to secure a roof over their heads. In Altadena, one property was initially listed for $4,500 per month, but jumped to $6,000 overnight. Flooding will only exacerbate this predatory cycle. With homes and rental units damaged or destroyed, the supply of available housing will shrink while demand surges. Insurance payouts and federal disaster relief funds will create a short-term cash influx, but instead of stabilizing the market, these funds will likely be funneled into higher rents. As seen in previous crises, landlords will seize the moment, pushing rental prices to astronomical levels while thousands of displaced Angelenos scramble to find shelter. This trend isn't just a product of the current disaster. It's a pattern that has emerged time and again as landlords take advantage of natural disasters to push rent prices beyond the reach of the average Angelino. With another crisis looming, whether it's another wildfire or the threat of flooding in a city already vulnerable to climate change, the housing market is expected to become even more volatile. Residents will be forced to endure skyrocketing rent costs, leaving many in a state of financial uncertainty. The question remains, how can the city address this growing problem before it escalates even further? If Los Angeles fails to implement strict rent control enforcement and emergency protections, another housing disaster is imminent. The storm's aftermath, a community in crisis. The recent storm that swept through Southern California left a path of destruction that many residents described as the worst they have ever seen. From Sierra Madre to Malibu, entire neighborhoods were transformed by the relentless forces of nature as mudslides, debris flows, and road closures created chaos and uncertainty. The community now faces a grueling cleanup process, with many fearing that the unstable ground will continue to shift, prolonging the crisis. In Sierra Madre, residents recall the terrifying moment when torrents of black mud surged down their streets. You could hear the roar of the water. You could feel the ground shaking, one local described, emphasizing the sheer power of the current. The damage was widespread, leaving many roads impassable. Streets such as Sturtevant Drive, Churchill Road, and Idle Hour Road remained closed as cleanup crews worked tirelessly to clear the wreckage. For longtime residents, this is a devastating 1-2 punch. First, the wildfires that stripped the hillsides of vegetation, and now the mudslides that follow. The charred terrain offers no protection against the deluge, and the risk of further landslides looms large. Malibu, another hard-hit area, is also reeling from the storm's impact. The famed Duke's Restaurant, a beloved coastal landmark, bore the brunt of the mudslides triggered by the Palisades fire burn scar. What was once a scenic haven for oceanfront dining is now buried under layers of muck and debris. The Pacific Coast Highway, a vital lifeline for the region, remains under a soft closure, allowing access only to emergency personnel, contractors, and residents with passes. Authorities warn that the danger is far from over, as saturated hillsides remain unstable, and further ground shifts could occur without warning. One of the most shocking incidents took place in Malibu. A devastating mudslide 60 miles north of Malibu destroyed 21 homes in Lena, a grim reminder of the long-lasting consequences of heavy rains in the region. The residents of Los Angeles and surrounding areas now face the same uncertainty, as more rain is expected in the coming days. For some, the recent disasters have compounded an already difficult period, following multiple wildfires that have left the landscape vulnerable to erosion and slides. The harsh future of Los Angeles. Los Angeles, known for its glitzy skyline, sun-drenched beaches, and sprawling entertainment industry, faces an increasingly dire future due to natural disasters. While much attention is often placed on the wealth and glamour of the city, the reality for its middle class is far less luxurious. For the everyday Angelino, the convergence of climate change and escalating natural disasters, such as wildfires, earthquakes, and rising sea levels, threatens to reshape the cityscape in ways that could leave them financially and socially vulnerable. Housing is the most immediate and pressing crisis. Skyrocketing home prices and soaring rent have made it nearly impossible for the average family to secure stable housing. While the wealthy continue to invest in luxury developments and high-end real estate, middle-class residents find themselves priced out of neighborhoods they once called home. The median home price in L.A. now exceeds $1.2 million, while the average rent for a modest apartment continues to climb well past $3,400 per month. Salaries, however, have not kept pace. The dream of homeownership, a defining pillar of middle-class stability, is slipping away, forcing families to make difficult decisions about whether to stay or leave. Beyond housing, the cost of living continues to rise, making everyday expenses a burden. Basic necessities such as groceries, gas, and healthcare are eating away at disposable income. A trip to the grocery store that once cost $100 now easily surpasses $190. Medical costs are another mounting concern, with out-of-pocket expenses for routine healthcare visits reaching levels that push many into financial distress. For middle-class Angelinos, Even maintaining a modest lifestyle means facing constant financial anxiety. The job market, once a beacon of hope for middle-class workers, is also transforming in ways that threaten their stability. The entertainment industry, historically a reliable employer, has seen significant shifts due to streaming services, AI technology, and the gig economy, leading to fewer stable, well-paying jobs. Other industries, such as manufacturing and retail, have declined as companies either automate processes or relocate operations to more affordable regions. While tech and finance have flourished, these sectors cater primarily to high earners, leaving many middle-class workers struggling to find careers that provide long-term security. Public services, once a crucial lifeline for the middle class, are also being stretched to their limits. LA's public schools are facing budget shortfalls, leading to larger class sizes and fewer resources. Public transportation remains inadequate, making it difficult for those who cannot afford to live near their jobs to commute affordably. Infrastructure problems, such as crumbling roads and increasing homelessness, are no longer just issues for the lower class. They are now daily realities for the middle class as well. The quality of life that once defined LA is deteriorating, leaving many to wonder whether staying in the city is worth the struggle. As the middle class shrinks, the cultural fabric of LA also stands to suffer. The city's diversity and vibrant neighborhoods have historically been fueled by hard-working middle-class residents who contribute to the local economy, support small businesses, and sustain the arts. With more people forced to relocate to other states or suburbs, the city risks becoming a place only for the very wealthy and the very poor, creating an even starker divide. The future of LA for the middle class is bleak unless significant changes are made. Without bold policies to address housing affordability, income inequality, and cost of living pressures, the exodus will continue. The wrath of nature. In Oxnard, an extremely rare tornado tore through the city, leaving destruction in its wake. The twister wreaked havoc on nearly a dozen homes and structures, shocking residents who had never experienced such a phenomenon. Witnesses described the terrifying moment when the skies suddenly darkened and the wind picked up with incredible force. One resident recalled seeing debris flying through the air, including a large white object that turned out to be a porch awning. Many homeowners, already struggling financially, were devastated to find their roofs and carports torn apart. Some, like one individual who admitted they lacked home insurance due to affordability, now face immense hardship as they attempt to recover from the storm's impact. Meanwhile, in the foothill community of Sierra Madre, the aftermath of the recent storm has left residents trapped in a cycle of destruction. The heavy rains triggered debris flows near the burn-scarred Eden fire, once again forcing people to flee for safety. The Sierra Madre debris basin overflowed, sending rushing water, dirt, and debris cascading through the streets. Road closures, including the shutdown of Topanga Canyon, have further complicated recovery efforts, isolating communities and businesses. One shop owner, overwhelmed by the series of disasters, decided to close their store and leave for good, highlighting the far-reaching economic impact of these natural calamities. The ripple effect of these disasters extends beyond the immediate physical destruction. Entire regions are experiencing economic strain as businesses struggle with decreased foot traffic and ongoing utility repairs.